Father, good morning. We give all praise, glory, power to your name. We ask that you wash us anew. We ask the Holy Spirit to be with us and to lead us, to show us the truth and only the truth. Amen. We are at Matthew chapter 26, verse 57. And the last time we read, the context was that Jesus was just being arrested and that Judas betrayed him. Judas were with the people who come and arrest him. So let's go to verse 57. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in, and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came two false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He had spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witness? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face, and buffet him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands. Okay, I think that I'm gonna stop here.
Don't you we're gonna cover even half of that today?
Yes, that's true. So let's go back to 57. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled.
To get that full picture, we need to go into John. John adds another piece to it. John 18. And we read from verse 12.
Yeah.
Then the band and the captains and the officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him, and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest at that year. And then now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to the Jews, that it was expedited that one man should die for the people. I'm going to jump over 15 and go all the way down to 24, because 15 to 23 is Peter's denial and Jesus speaking to Caiaphas. Verse 24 says, Now Annas had sent him bound unto Caiaphas the high priest. So that gives you a picture for 57, where they took him to Annas first, and we don't know exactly what happened with Annas. More like Annas questioned him and do what he had to do, but he sent him bounded. He came to Annas bounded, and he released him bounded to Caiaphas. That's what we know from John.
Yeah.
So when they took him from Gethsemane, they had tied him up.
So
They
they
took him
took him
away,
to
tied
Annas.
up.
Yeah. Annas was behind all of that all along.
Mm-hmm.
Annas used to be the high priest, right, Lincoln?
Annas was once the high priest, but he was removed as high priest by the prefecture because he was corrupt. He had been using the office of the high priest to enrich himself, and he was also using the office to murder people. He was actually carrying out capital punishment, which he was not authorized to do under Roman law. And so he was removed. Having been removed, two of his sons were later appointed as high priests. And they were also removed, one after the other. And after he lost those two sons from the high priest office, he, through his influence, got his son-in-law appointed. And Caiaphas was that son-in-law, married to his daughter. And as a result of that, Annas was, as we call it, the power behind the throne.
Yeah.
He was the
Luke.
one who really wielded power. Caiaphas was a figurehead, more or less.
Yeah. As a
And in
matter of
fact,
fact,
go ahead.
no, go on, talk. I'm just looking at something.
In fact, in the scriptures, they refer to Annas as high priest. So quite a few times when you see they say he was speaking to the high priest, he was in fact speaking to Annas because everybody knew he was in fact the person who called the shots.
And funny enough, Mr. Jackie, I'm looking at Luke and Acts, and it says the same thing. Luke 3, verse 2 says, during the high priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas, the word of God came to John, son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. That's John the Baptist. That was Luke 3. Acts, verse 4, and I'm going to read 5 to 6. The next day, the rulers, elders, and scribes assembled in Jerusalem, along with Annas, the high priest, Caiaphas, John, Alexander, and many others from the high priest family.
Exactly. So we have a problem.
So Annas
Because
in Acts was still the high priest.
Annas
So to
was
say.
not the high priest
He was not, but he was.
in
He
name.
wasn't the high priest. He wasn't on the high priest in the books.
No. He wasn't the high priest in name, but in every other aspect of the
That's what I
running
said.
of
In the books, he wasn't the high
was
priest.
the power to be contended with. But we look at it, and we'll come to that as to a little bit more as it relates to who Annas really was and why Jesus was brought to him first.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the important thing. Why first?
Right. So let's go back to Matthew, and we are at what verse? What?
57.
57.
I presume you must not have been happy when Jesus came in the temple and shut down everything, because that makes trouble in his business.
And they had laid hand on Jesus, led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the official rendering of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The unofficial rendering of what happened is
John.
detailed
In
in
John.
John.
Yes.
And
And
John.
the reason.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's look at John.
John
Then we come back to
18,
this.
John 18.
verse 12.
All right. Now, they led him away to Annas first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I say I am leading you to the house first, it means that there's another destination
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that's already been
Right.
determined.
Yeah,
that
that's
we're
not the
going.
that's not
Right.
the
It's
final.
not the final stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we know that there are at least two destinations, but the first one is this one. The
Mhm.
second and or third will come after this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's determined before all of this that you're going to be going to at least two places.
We're sure of that.
Let's look at what happened to Jesus when he was at Annas. When he was there, he was asked the following questions. Where are your disciples? Hmm? Where are them? And they asked him, 19, the high priest, yes,
Mm-hmm.
then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
The high priest referred to here is not Caiaphas, because Caiaphas was not there. They
Right.
sent Caiaphas afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So says the high priest, they were referring to Annas.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get this unless we know the background story as to who Annas was and his relationship with Caiaphas. We're going to put it a little bit. But they asked them, where are your disciples? And what is this you've been speaking about? What doctrine do you have and why do you speak thus? Jesus answered him, Annas, and said, I spake openly for the world, to the world. I even taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Jews always resort. And in secret have I said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Why ask thou me? Ask them which heard me what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said. The officers which stood by struck Jesus
Slap
with
him.
the palm of his hand, saying, Answereth thou the high priest so? So this was not Caiaphas, people.
No.
This was Annas.
And then
He
24
was,
is when he sent him
he was,
on.
he was still being questioned in the house, the palace of Annas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a palace because Annas was rotten rich.
Of course.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he was being brutalized there
Yes.
by the officer.
Soldiers. Mhm.
No, we shouldn't say soldiers.
All right.
Because the only
Because
soldiers
Romans
that
were
were
the soldiers.
Roman, and
Yeah.
these were not Romans.
All right. The
Officers.
officers.
These were the temple guards,
Mm.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe them. Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So they answers though the high priest, so you must have some respect for the high priest. But he wasn't the high priest. Sent him bound unto Caiaphas, the high priest. So now having all those questions being asked and beating him up and so on, they then sent him off to Caiaphas, the high priest. So
The real high priest.
the high priest on the books, as you would say.
Mhm.
So the first step was the under the covers, the unofficial high priest was being was taken. He was taken to the unofficial high priest, and then he was sent on to the official a high priest to be processed. Now the question you must ask is, why was Annas even involved?
Mhm.
Any ideas?
I think Anas, he was in the back of all the business and money making of the temple. He was like a don, like the mafia. How to say the mafia boss?
Yeah.
He was.
He was a god.
He,
You call him the
yes,
Godfather.
he was like the Godfather, as you said, Janet. He was manipulating all his little business in the temple. Remember that people who come with offering had who was coming from far away. First, they had to change their money. There was a special money for the temple, so they were doing profit on exchange rate, and then they were selling on the spot things that you had to buy too. So they were making profit on this too. So the temple was a big profit business, and he was in the back of all of that. So when Jesus came and put everything down and threatened to have the temple destroyed and all of that, that that really offended them. That I can imagine how pissed they were. So
Mhm.
this is the part to me where they getting back at Jesus for what he did. And it
Exactly.
to me it have more to do with that than all the than everything he have prophesied or taught or the teaching is it is about money.
Uh-huh.
It's all about money.
Anything, Janet?
No,
Anything?
not yet. I'm looking. I'm doing a quick research.
Okay, let's step back. How many days now has Jesus been in Jerusalem?
About a week.
About 5 days.
About a week.
Because it's the
So
Because he
Passover.
came. He came for Passover when he walked in and he taught in the temple. And then 2 days later they had Passover, and now he's captured.
okay. So the only other time that Jesus had interaction with the folks from the temple was when they came down to him outside of Jerusalem and they were questioning him. You remember that time? And he told them that they were a set of whitewashed
Hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
sepulchres and hypocrites
Mm-hmm.
and a generation of
Yeah.
vipers. He dressed them down and they went away.
They took that as a provocation.
But that was the only time that they were
Mm-hmm.
having a direct confrontation with Christ. And it did not offend them at that point to the point where they would want him dead. They conspired with the Pharisees at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Pharisees at that point who wanted Christ silenced more than anybody else. This the scribes, yes, but the guys in the temple, the priests, weren't really troubled by what Jesus was saying. They didn't care. But 5 days of being in Jerusalem made him a marked man. Why?
Yeah, because he called I think because he simply said they were whitewashed sepulchres,
No,
and he
No,
was
when he,
drawing too many crowd.
no. He troubled their money making operation.
yeah,
Oh
when he put
yeah,
all them tables down and chase
When
everybody out of the temple.
the
yeah,
big
he
thing
broke up
for
their
them
money.
was it's like Las Vegas. Somebody has a casino. They're making good money from the casino. It's the biggest casino there.
Hmm.
And some guy comes along and burns it to the ground.
Right.
It's not gonna go well. Okay? The mob boss, as you rightly said, is upset. You caused my inflow of cash to be
Yeah,
affected
you
by your.
cleanse the temple. Yeah.
Okay? You're gonna have to account for that. So here is the story. When Annas and his sons were running the temple through Caiaphas, they controlled the money changers, they controlled the selling of sacrificial animals. And Josephus says in his account that one dove that was sold in the temple was priced at 5 times the price of a dove that was sold outside of the temple. The cattle, the lambs, all of these other things that were being sold were priced way above market value. And they could do this because they were the quality control folks. So let's see what happens. Somebody is coming from Egypt, a Jew coming from Egypt. He's going to make sacrifice in the temple. The Bible says if you're coming from too far, don't bring the animal with you, bring money. And then when you get close to the temple, you buy an animal for sacrifice. It was allowed in Exodus and Deuteronomy, it's fine. So the person coming from abroad would bring, or far afield, would find it more convenient to bring money with him and to purchase a perfectly good lamb or dove or whatever he may need to bring to sacrifice, and then to go into the temple and present the sacrifice. But there was a little gatekeeping here. The high priest and his other priestly caste were responsible for examining the animal. And it is they who will determine whether this animal was spotless, whether this animal was not lame, whether this animal was good enough for sacrifice. And they were the quality control guys. But they also sold animals. So it's a conflict of interest right there. So
I'm finding out
what
something.
what
Hmm.
would happen is only one out of every 10 animal that was presented to the temple was approved. So
Okay.
10%. So they were therefore selling 90% of the animals that were
For themselves.
sacrificed came from their stock. Okay?
As monopole.
Yes, it's a monopoly. So 10% of the people that brought their animals in for sacrifice, the animals approved for sacrifice.
Hmm.
The other 90% was sold to them by Caiaphas, Annas, and Annas' sons
5 times more money.
for 5 times more than it would normally cost you. Okay? So the person coming from afar was funneling money into Caiaphas's money chest, and Annas was the main benefactor for all of that. Okay, the money changers, it was a money-making affair. This is how it worked. The money changer would buy temple coins from the priest, okay? And that coin would come to them and was sold to the public. But when the priest would sell the coin to the money changer, he would do so, let's say, for example, you were selling 1 denarius, the equivalent of 1 denarius for a shekel. It wouldn't be a 1-to-1 exchange. You would have to pay, say, 1.5 denarius for 1 shekel. So the money changer at that point is paying 1.5 times the price. The exchange rate was a 1.5 to 1. When he sells that shekel to the public, he's selling it at 3 times an exchange rate of 3 to 1. So when the fellow comes in from abroad, he's bringing his denarius and he's paying $3, 3 denarius for 1 shekel. Okay? So the money changer is making back his 1.5 that he paid for the shekel plus 1.5 shekel as his profit. Okay. So now, when the fellow gets his shekel, he goes and he pays for his dove or he pays for his animal that he's going to sacrifice. And this shekel goes right back to the priest. It
Then
goes
wash
right
the money.
Exactly. So then
Wash the money.
they take that same shekel and they sell it again to the money changer for the 1.5. So it was a money laundering operation of no mean order.
Yeah, man. Him wash the money good.
So this was a money making machine. So they couldn't lose. Not only that, but the money changer had to pay 20%, according to Josephus. They would have to pay 20% of their earnings back into the temple as a tax. Remember, there was a temple tax?
There was a temple tax.
So they had to pay 20% of they have made 1.5 denarius on each shekel. They would then have to pay 20% of that profit back to the priest. So the priest was making money on the exchange rate, and they were making money on the tax that the fellow who just bought from them this denarius, this shekel, he had to pay tax on top of all of that. So they controlled all of that. They control the tax, they control the exchange, they control the animals that are being sacrificed. It was a ripoff. And
Jackie?
this is why Jesus came in now. And when he came in, he threw these things out of the temple. He damaged their equipment. He damaged their stalls. He called them into disrepute. He disturbed their business. They lost money that day. They lost money because Jesus said, "Take these things out of here," right? And he cleansed the temple. They lost at least 1 day's revenue. That's
it's more than 1 day they lost.
Wait, I'm just saying, at least 1 day's revenue was lost.
No, I'm coming to something else that I just discovered.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. We know Jesus, just before he died, cleansed the temple. When Jesus started his ministry 3 years before, he did it before. He cleansed the temple at that time too. So we were always wondering why they hated it. He cleansed it when he started his ministry, and he cleansed it when he was ending. John 2, you remember the story of when Jesus turned water into wine in Capernaum? All right,
Yes.
John 2, verse 13. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold ox and sheep and dove and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables. And said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, make not my father's house a house of merchandise. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thy house has eaten me up. Then answered the Jews unto him, what sign showest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? And Jesus answered unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. And then said the Jews, 40 and 6 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But he spoke of the temple of his body. Now stop. So when Jesus started his ministry, went to Jerusalem in Passover, chased out everybody out of the temple, and continued in his ministry. So that would explain why they are after him from the very set, because he started giving trouble from the day one, because he had kicked them out. And 3 years later, here he comes again to do the same thing.
If it's the second offense, then it
Yeah.
would be much worse. But
Yep.
what we do know for sure is that he did disturb their business in a significant way. They lost revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And Annas was very, very upset. So when they caught a hold of Jesus, they took him to the Don.
Of course.
They
The
took him
Godfather.
to the Godfather. And they, at that point, the Godfather was saying to him, do you know who I am? I am the fellow who you have disturbed, and you should not have disturbed me. And you have caused me to lose business. And it's all about business, it's not personal. Have you ever seen the movies where they're saying, this isn't personal, this is just business? And you have caused me to lose business. That's not acceptable. I'm going to have to make an example of you. So nobody tries to do this again. And as Sarah said, here was Jesus promoting the destruction of the temple. And they're saying, this is my casino you're talking about burning down. This is my business you're disturbing. Why are you telling people that you're going to burn down my business? This is what they were saying about his doctrine. You get it now? They were asking him about his doctrine. The doctrine of the temple is going to be destroyed. This is my place of business. Were you telling people that it's going to be destroyed? You can't do that. We're going to have to make an example of you, Bambino.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
if
going too far now.
yeah, if he's acting like the Godfather, that is death sentence, because we know that these people live for they kill for less than that.
Well, yeah. So this is why Annas was involved.
But remember, you said earlier that Annas were removed from being the high priest because he had killed people
Yes.
and things like that. So he was a very, well, the way I see it, a barbarian
He was a murderer
He was
from
a
He
the
was a
start.
yes.
murderer in high
He was
places.
not. Yeah. For a high priest, he was.
He was a murderer
He
from the
was.
start.
He abused this power to the point where he didn't care.
He was a wolf, a
Listen,
bad
He didn't
wolf.
care.
Jesus said of Satan, he was a murderer from the start. You're like your father, the devil.
Mm,
And this is a very apt description of Annas.
Yeah.
Annas was a true godfather. He had no problem making an example of you to keep people in line. If everybody could just make a statement and any jackman Dora could come in and start sewing their weight around the temple,
mm.
it wouldn't be good for business, you see. I
No,
have
he
to make an
wouldn't.
example of this one. Nobody else will try it.
So therefore, he got unofficially accused there and condemned already by Annas.
Yes,
So the rest of the story,
Was
nothing
just
can come and save him because we know from there where it's going.
exactly.
they
This
already
is the
intended to kill him. They just wanted to justify it in front of
because
him.
this is the formality at
Mm.
that point.
Yeah, they just
But
wanted to show the people, say, hey, this is the reason why we're killing him. But there was no way Jesus was gonna get out.
Nope. He was already sentenced.
He
mhm.
was they were just waiting to find a way to get the Romans
So
to sign it off.
Annas is really the one who who make the decision to have Jesus killed.
Precisely.
Yes.
When
He
we
already
ask,
planned it, and Caiaphas just rubber stamped it.
yep, he would have killed Christ one way
Or the other.
or the other.
Hmm.
If he couldn't have done it officially, unofficially, it
Yes.
Yeah.
would have been carried out.
Hmm. But
But because he
other.
was already cited for carrying out killings
Yeah,
without the authority of Rome, he didn't want to upset
and the
the
multitudes too.
provincial governors.
Hmm. He had to set up a trap here.
So this is why
Hmm.
Jesus was taken first to
Yeah.
Annas. That's where the actual
Hmm.
meeting and decision was taken.
Hmm. That
Hmm.
is like an us making a statement as well, saying, "You messed with me,"
Yeah, you mess
and
with the bull, you get the horn.
exactly.
Yep. They
Jesus
plotted to
know.
kill him, and
Hmm.
like
Annas,
Caiaphas said, one man have to die on our behalf, and they already knew who they were gonna do.
Annas wasn't plotting. Annas made the decision.
Yeah.
The others were busy plotting. Annas came straight out. Annas wasn't hiding. Annas was upfront with you. You made the mistake of interfering with my business. And now you're going to have to pay the price. And he sent him on to Caiaphas to execute the plan. He said to Caiaphas, do what you need to do to make sure this man's dead.
Mm.
I'm going to make an example of him. Nobody else should wish to come in and disturb the temple, such as he did with that doctrine he's preaching about destroying the temple. No, 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 no.
Mm.
It's not going to work out for us. And we need to make an example of him so that no one else comes thinking they can destroy the temple. It's our
Yeah.
money making machine.
Yeah. It's always his family was prominent because the
Mm.
high priest, even when he was disposed, like Jackie said, his sons got the position and then his son-in-law. So it
Yes,
became a family business where
yes,
he had they
Yeah.
inherited, so to
Mhm.
right.
speak, the
Even
chair
after
of high priest.
even after Caiaphas was deposed, it was one of his sons that got the post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it became a family business. It
It's
where
a
you
family
had an
business.
heir and they took up the position after you left. And
Mm.
so the family was prosperous. Not just Annas, but
Oh.
his entire family dominated the temple.
So They took him after that to Caiaphas, and the scribes as well, and the elders were assembled.
So now we can take it up from in Matthew. Now that we've gotten
Hold
the
on,
back.
hold on. I found something in the Talmud that spoke about Annas.
Yeah.
The Talmud records, woe to the house of Annas, woe to their serpents hiss, they are high priests, their sons are keepers of the treasury, their son-in-laws are guardians of the temple, and their servants beat people with staves.
Yep. It was brutal.
Yep. They were
He
high
meant,
priests, their sons kept the money, and their son-in-laws
yeah,
were the guards.
and then people beat the people with
And their
sticks.
servants beat the people. That describes them to the T.
Yeah. But you will remember, Jesus spoke about this as well when he spoke about the servant the good servant, who now turned around and started to beat his fellow servants.
Mm-hmm.
What was going to be his end? He was going to be thrown into outer darkness.
Yeah. You trouble my family business.
Hmm.
You
So
kick people
57.
out.
So 57 picks up after they have finished with Annas. And Annas has said, okay, take him now to Caiaphas. So they had laid hold of Jesus, led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. Sanhedrin. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. No. Chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death. What does this mean? Peter went to see the end. What does that mean? And the chief priests and the elders sought false witness. Peter went to see what would become of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
He was, as you said, when the officers came, all the disciples scattered and went their own way, but Peter
Actually,
followed.
John says something. It was John or Luke. I think it's John or Luke that says that another disciple followed. And this, yeah, John 18,
John,
verse 15 says, and Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest.
yes, that was John.
So, yeah, because John, so Peter was at the door, but John was actually in the palace watching it all.
Listen, when we get to the Gospel of John, we'll go into a little bit more of who John really was.
But John
John,
was related to them.
yes,
James
John's
and
people
John were related to.
listened to them. And not
Yeah.
only that, they had influence. John had grown up with them,
Yeah, we had
right?
already said that John's family was rich and prominent.
Right. So they remember now in the rendition of John, not only did John go in, but he admitted Peter. He spoke to them, and that's how Peter got in.
Mm-hmm.
He paved the way for Peter to come in.
Mm-hmm. That's how Peter got in.
So John, and keep in mind now, John was not the elder in this relationship. He was the youngest of all the disciples. He was a teenager at
He
that
was a
point.
little pit. Yep. He was a little child.
So he wasn't a child, he was a teenager, but he had the benefit of being Zebedee's son, right? So they had some influence. So there we go. We'll see that later when we get to that gospel.
But Peter is following from afar. It's like he's like a thief watching. He don't want nobody to notice him.
But you must remember there is a very important part in John where Annas was seeking to find the disciples.
Mhm.
This is important. This is why Jesus said, "Let these go.
Yep.
I am he. Now you have come for me. Leave my disciples out of it."
Yep.
Right?
Leave them alone.
Annas thought to find them.
Yeah, and I just wanted all of them.
All
Yep.
right? Because Jesus's whole doctrine bespoke the destruction of the temple.
Temple.
Okay? This is his business.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
they
destroy
wanted-
my temple.
He wanted to cut the tree and the roots with him.
Exactly.
Yep.
While
Root it up.
it's like the Don would say, we don't like to leave loose ends.
Exactly. No
Yeah.
witnesses.
Just because I get rid of him don't mean that his followers won't get crazy and go destroy my temple and do the same thing. So let's get rid of all of them.
So let's get on with it. So Peter was following from afar off. But people like to condemn Peter. But I always say he was following afar off, but he was following.
Exactly. He was there. The rest ran away, but he stayed.
Right?
So of the
He was
11,
still following.
He had the
11,
courage.
9 ran away.
He took the risk
Yeah,
because he
it
could.
was risky.
Mhm.
Of the 11,
Risky.
9 ran away. Literally ran away.
So
And you look at it. John went, but where was his brother? His brother was related to them. Why didn't he come with his brother since he had influence? But he ran away
remember,
instead.
John was a teenager.
So he was
What
curious.
he could get away with as a teenager, his brother probably couldn't.
True.
Being older than he.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's move on. Now the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witnesses. What does it mean to seek false witnesses?
No, you're gonna find people who are lying.
If witness is singular, no, so they just needed one false. Start false witness against Jesus to put him to death.
Somebody who could bring something to accuse him.
They want a consistent story.
Yeah,
Mhm.
somebody who. Yeah. They want material that would condemn him.
Yeah, they want a formal court case. You have the witnesses, and if there is any lawyer to represent you, anybody to go to defend you, my dear. Any witnesses?
Yeah, they had to do that. Because Deuteronomy states that out of the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. That's Deuteronomy 17 verse 6. So they had to find at least 2 witnesses so they could kill him.
They were searching. When it says searching, it means if I am searching for something, it means there are more than one options available to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If I have to search, if I'm in a room and there's one desk there, there's nothing else there, and I'm gonna go pick something up, it must be in that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have 5 or 6 items in the room and I'm trying to find one, I have to search amongst the 5 to find the items I'm looking for. So it means that there are multiple persons there willing to testify, but they had to find
60
the right
says,
story.
but 60 says, but found none.
Exactly. They could not find a credible witness.
Yeah,
That
many
could bring
false
it, yeah.
witnesses came. Many false witnesses came.
But they
Yes.
were incredible
Why
enough.
would they have come? Why would they come? They're being paid.
Yes, really. A false witness
Annas is
is
funneling.
you don't be just false witness like that. You must be bribed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Annas is sending people in to provide the story.
yep, yep,
Had the plan.
Because
yep.
the Sanhedrin itself is not necessarily the place that will fund the story for people to come in. They will at least try and listen to the stories that are presented themselves, and they will adjudge the stories. Because listen, they found none. Yeah,
Here's
so
what
many.
Mark says. Mark even adds, Mark says, they didn't just say found none. Mark 14, verse 56 says, for many bear false witness against him, but their witnesses agreed not together.
Right. In other words, they had to sit and listen to the testimonies
And none of them
that,
could be the same.
you know, they had to sit and listen through the testimonies that were presented.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to judge whether these testimonies made sense.
Yep.
And if it didn't make sense, they would dismiss it. So they would, let us say they had 10 people come forward and they listened to the 10 stories. And none of these 10 stories
We're
were
consistent.
consistent. They would have to dismiss these guys
Yep.
and say,
And
no,
that's what
doesn't
happened.
make sense. We cannot present this as testimony because they had to record it, yes?
Yep.
This is the way it works. You have to record what the testimony was for posterity.
Yeah.
So if they accepted two stories that did not match, they could not, on the face of those, put somebody to death.
Yep.
They had to
Yep.
find at least those that would
That's the same thing.
be consistent. So, and at the last came two false witnesses.
Two. They only
All right?
needed two.
Yep.
They only need two to follow the
Finally,
law.
at the last minute, there came two false witnesses and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. No. Question is this blasphemy?
No, he was telling the truth.
No. Whether it's true or not, is this blasphemy? Because guess what? The temple in Jerusalem was destroyed already.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was already destroyed at least once.
Yeah.
So to say you're going to destroy the temple, is this blasphemy? And if it is, how so? Why did they think this would be blasphemy?
Well, they would be against their business. That would be a problem against their business. But no,
No, forget the business because
I don't.
honestly, the business. We are talking about blasphemy. Blasphemy has nothing to do with business. Why is this an offense against God? Because this is I am
Destroying.
able to destroy the temple of God.
This is
yeah.
God's house, and you're going to destroy His house.
But worse than to build it in 3 days, that would mean that he
You are
pretend
God.
to be a god.
No,
No,
he didn't say that. He's saying
because you can't build back a temple. We know how long it
This-
took
In
to
John, it
build.
says it tells them 46 years to build it.
okay, wait. We look at one side of the equation and not on the other. He says, I'm able to destroy the temple of God. Start there.
Mm.
Would one man be able to destroy the temple?
No,
No.
Okay,
not a,
so that is ridiculous on its premise.
Yeah, you can.
yeah,
You see the things that I'm storing how much
Okay.
weight? One man can't deal with
So
that.
therefore, this doesn't make sense from the get-go, right?
yeah.
And to
That's the
build it
first
in
thing.
3 days,
Mm.
right? So if the first part of the statement is ridiculous, the second part can't make sense because it's contingent on the first,
Yeah,
right?
you have to tear it down
So to
first.
make it more ridiculous and to rebuild it by myself in 3
3
days.
days. Don't make it's
So,
even worse.
so therefore, how is this blasphemy?
That it would be a lie.
I see it a
It's
lie, but
ridiculous.
I don't see it.
It's not blasphemy. The problem here is they ran out of what to
Excuse.
hang their hats on.
They couldn't find better than that.
And so they created a new rule for themselves.
Mm.
You remember Jesus talked about the laws of men?
Yes.
This is one of the new ones.
This
I wouldn't be surprised with that one.
what a one, because to be able to destroy a temple by yourself and build it back in 3 days by yourself.
It's so ludicrous.
Yes, this is so ridiculous.
Right. At the worst, they would say this man is nuts.
Yeah, you might
He's
as well say
crazy.
he's crazy.
Yes. And you don't
Exactly.
execute crazy people.
No. But them decide say it's blasphemy.
Yeah.
So
So, and the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What
What
is
to
it with these witnesses against thee? In other words, aren't you going to respond to what they've just said?
yeah.
What
In
is
other
going to
words,
respond and say?
To defend yourselves?
yes, against this ridiculous thing that you're saying?
Yeah.
No,
What is he going to say?
But Jesus held his peace. You say,
Yeah.
why would I want to defend myself against this stupidness?
Mm.
What am
And
I
the
going to
high
say?
priest,
Yeah, he's like, what am I going to say to you after
Yeah.
that?
and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Now, here comes the problem.
Mhm.
Amen.
This
You
is the
start
problem.
now. Swear by God.
Okay. This is the problem. This is where it all gets anchored. None of the things that they said before could have been presented to the Romans as a justification for putting Jesus to death. Nothing.
But this is the high priest saying that, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, well,
This is Caiaphas saying that.
Jesus not saying anything at
no,
that point
I
in
know
time.
that. I'm saying nothing that these two witnesses testified to could have
Could hold up.
could have ended up to the Romans to say,
Right.
this is why we want this man killed. Because remember, one of the reasons they removed Annas was because Annas was using the office to murder people. Right? And so the Romans would have been looking very, very keenly at any evidence provided by Annas and his people to kill someone.
Yeah.
So they had to make it bulletproof,
Plausible.
airtight.
That to be
And
plausible.
these two witnesses, that wasn't it. So Caiaphas had to try something new. And he knew it. They were trying to bait Jesus into saying something else that they could hang their hats on. And Jesus kept quiet.
So, yep.
All right. But we can't go further than that today.
Oh.
Because what comes after that is very important. He's saying,
Before says, Jesus said unto him,
No, 63.
No.
Don't go to 63 yet.
We don't.
63 is important. Let us read what he says. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee. What does it adjure means?
Does it
What
mean
do we think adjure means?
to swear?
You can't make somebody swear, but let's see.
What does a juror mean in thing there? Because that's an oath.
Mhm.
He's
It's
taking an oath.
technically,
He's basically calling him up in to swear.
well,
But
he's the
swear
one
by the living
testifying
God.
to you. They couldn't find no good witness, so he's testifying.
He's
He's
basically
saying,
calling
I
him to
agree with you.
confirm, take an oath in front of the living God.
Yep.
Take a
The word there is called exorchizo, and it means to put you to oath.
yeah man. He's
I
asking
am
Jesus to
putting
take a
you,
swear.
I am putting you under oath. Whatever you say after this is an
Is
oath, taken,
yep.
right?
In other words, I make you swear by God.
Yep. You now have to answer truthfully, right? Because you're a Jew.
Hmm. So when
And
you
the
swear by the
Bible
living
says
God, you gotta
when
tell
you
the truth.
swear by God's name,
You
you
got to tell the
have
truth.
to,
Yep.
to not just tell the truth, to perform whatever you say you're going to do. If you listen, if you swear by God's name, right, you have to perform the task as outlined.
Yep.
And what he said you have to perform, the task you have to perform, is that you have to tell us. The
If
task
you are the
is
Christ.
you have to tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of
Of
God.
yeah. You just gotta
So,
swear now. Tell the truth.
okay, now
Yep.
Jesus has a choice to make. He can lie, which he can.
No, just never
He
lie.
can tell the truth,
Hmm.
or he can keep quiet.
Yep. Those are the three choices. Lie, tell truth, or shut up.
Yes. So we are going to find out which
Which one
of
that
the three he
often chose?
chose tomorrow.
Hmm.
Our Father in heaven, we are again challenged by your words. We are aware that you have given us sign of things to come, but you have also pointed us to things that have already occurred and the significance of these things. And here you have shown us just how insidious the times were wherein Christ lived. And you have indicated that things are going to get much worse for us.